Autopsy Protocol, Case File 7812. Patient, Human Civilization, Age Undetermined. Official cause of death as listed in the preliminary documents: natural causes, an evolutionary dead end, climate change, political instability. Our own examination indicates otherwise. The patient exhibits multiple symptoms of a coordinated, multi-vector poisoning and external manipulation. The diagnosis of death by natural causes is a falsification. We are dealing with a meticulously planned, methodical execution. We will now begin the post-mortem. The first observation from the external examination is the state of the atmosphere, the patient's respiratory system. The sky is streaked with permanent, non-dissipating trails. The official diagnosis is condensation trails from aircraft. This diagnosis does not withstand scrutiny. Water vapor dissipates in seconds. These structures, however, hang for hours, spreading into a hazy film, blocking sunlight. For a long time, this condition was described as a conspiracy theory. Today, it is an admitted medical procedure. The governments of most nations openly declare programs of geoengineering, the spraying of chemical aerosols for climate correction. They claim it is harmless. Samples taken by independent researchers directly from these aerosols show a different picture. The toxicology analysis reveals high concentrations of barium salts, strontium, and aluminum oxide. These are slow-acting poisons. Aluminum, when it enters the brain, induces symptoms identical to Alzheimer's disease. In the bone tissue, it displaces calcium, leading to systemic osteoporosis. But the most interesting effect is observed in the lungs. The finest metal particles, upon entering the alveoli, become microscopic antennae. When exposed to external electromagnetic radiation, for example from 5G towers, these particles heat up, causing internal burns in the respiratory tract. The patient complains of cold or pneumonia symptoms. They are treated according to standard protocols, without the understanding that they are dealing not with a virus, but with the effects of an energy weapon on poisoned tissue. Diagnosis: chronic atmospheric poisoning with heavy metals, intended to prepare the organism for subsequent electromagnetic assault. We proceed to the analysis of the immune system. In the year 2020, a global synchronous reaction of the organism to an alleged new pathogen was recorded. A single protocol of treatment, quarantine, forced isolation, and experimental gene therapy, labeled vaccination, was implemented simultaneously in all nations. The pathogen itself did not demonstrate a lethality beyond the seasonal norm. The overwhelming majority of fatal outcomes were recorded not at home but in hospitals. The cause: the application of a single toxic treatment protocol prescribed by supranational structures. The patients were not killed by a virus. They were killed by the treatment. What followed was the coercive injection of experimental drugs. The consequences: a sharp increase in thrombosis, myocarditis, and oncological diseases among younger age groups, unexplained sudden deaths, a surge in autoimmune disorders. Our analysis shows that the injected substances contain undisclosed metallic nanostructures and synthetic proteins that cause a systemic failure of the immune system. The synchronous beginning and synchronous end of the pandemic worldwide, coinciding with the launch of a new distraction, a regional military conflict, points to the artificial nature of the entire process. Diagnosis: a global psychological operation to test subservience and to introduce a Trojan agent into the organism under the guise of a vaccine. The objective: long-term degradation of the immune system and preparation for subsequent, more lethal strains.
Analysis of the central nervous and circulatory systems. We are observing the preparation for the replacement of the organic circulatory system, cash, with a fully controlled digital system, CBDCs, or Central Bank Digital Currencies. This is not money, this is software for the total control over the vital functions of every cell in the organism. The mechanism of implementation is simple. Automation and robotics remove humans from the basic income process. In exchange, they are offered a universal basic income, which will be disbursed in the form of these digital coupons. In the first stage, there will be no restrictions to lull the patient into acceptance. In the second stage, the program's code will be activated. Restrictions on the type, quantity, and location of purchases, restrictions on movement, an expiration date on money, making savings impossible. This is an electronic concentration camp, a system in which disobedience means an immediate disconnection from the life support system. Simultaneously, a total collection of biometric data is underway: retinal scans, fingerprints, gait analysis, voice recognition. The official pretext is fighting fraud. The true reason is the creation of a unified database for a system of total control managed by an artificial intelligence. A police drone does not need a warrant. It needs your biometric data to identify the target and execute its command. Diagnosis: preparation for the implementation of a system of neuro-financial control designed to transition the patient from a state of conditional freedom to one of absolute digital enslavement. We will now examine the digestive system and the surrounding environment. We observe several vectors of attack. First, climate weaponry. A sharp, unnatural shift in climate patterns coinciding with the arrival of specific political administrations. Hurricanes that intensify over land instead of dissipating. Wildfires in which metal and glass melt, but trees remain untouched. Floods that carry fish into the middle of a desert. This is not climate change. This is the application of directed energy and tectonic weapons. Second, the destruction of biodiversity. The mass poisoning of wild animals under the pretext of rabies control. The targeted elimination of bees, a key element of pollination and, therefore, the entire food chain. In their place, insects, flies, and their larvae are proposed as a new beneficial source of protein. Third, the destruction of agriculture. Under the pretext of invented epidemics, avian flu, swine flu, farmers' livestock, and poultry are exterminated. An artificial deficit of natural products is being created. Diagnosis: a complex operation to destroy the natural food chain and induce an artificial famine, with the subsequent goal of transitioning the survivors to synthetic, controlled food sources.
The final stage of the physical examination, the social body, the patient's psycho-emotional state, we observe the deliberate introduction of social viruses designed to cause an autoimmune reaction, a state where the organism begins to attack itself. The first virus, engineered wars. Using the standard provocation-response schema, conflicts are ignited between neighboring parts of the organism. The goal is not victory, but the process itself, the depletion of resources, the distraction of attention, and the implementation of dictatorship under the pretext of wartime measures. The second virus, tolerance. In the medical sense, tolerance is the absence of an immune response to the invasion of a foreign agent. This is precisely the virus that was introduced into the western part of the organism. The result? An inability to resist the aggressive invasion of alien cultures which were not infected with this virus. This is a weapon of demographic replacement. The third virus, gender ideology and sexual education. This is direct interference with the reproductive programming of the species, the chemical and surgical castration of children, the promotion of homosexuality, the destruction of the family unit. All of it is aimed at a sharp decline in birth rates and the psychological fracturing of new generations. Diagnosis: induced systemic psychosis. The patient has been made to wage war on itself, to destroy its own defense barriers, and to sterilize its own offspring. A classic autoimmune reaction leading to death. Let us summarize. The poisoning of the atmosphere, the compromising of the immune system, the implementation of a total control system, the destruction of the food chain, and the launch of self-destruct programs. The motive is not money or power. They already possess both. They are not afraid of ruining the environment, presumably because they do not intend to live here. They are not planning to feed the slaves, they are planning to eliminate them. The scale, synchronicity, and multi-layered nature of the operation indicate that the perpetrators are not human. The human elites, presidents, bankers, are merely instruments, scalpels in someone else's hands. The very nature of the attack, cold, dispassionate, and systemic, points to a non-human, external intelligence. Call it what you will. Satan, an artificial intelligence, an alien entity. The name does not change the protocol. The autopsy is complete. The patient is on the table, but the heart is still beating. The diagnosis is not yet final. The final line in this report has yet to be written. That is up to you. End of line.